great faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat. And I've missed you guys. It was a hard week off of no UFC action. You know, we were all complaining as content creators and even fans who are serious gamblers about 12 consecutive weeks of fights back to back to back all summer long. But then that 1 week off really wasn't even a break week. It was doing early research on this card, looking at some regional scene stuff, and we ended up cashing on LFA 140. So that was fun. What else happened? Demetrius Johnson got that awesome knockout, came back to his former glory over in one championship. So now we're back to the MMA action over in Paris, France. So, you know, as much as I complain about living in the United States and some of our issues here, imagine being in a country where they're only, legalizing MMA like 2 years ago. So at least we're going to get to kick off some action there. A lot of new names, a lot of changed fights, short notice replacements, and fast changing money lines now too. So I've got a great guest this week to break it all down with us. We're going to go over props, whatever betting action we have. And I think my guest needs no further introduction. He is a very sharp guy, active on MMA Twitter, and full transparency, always posts his bets. My guy, Mike at CouchWarriorPod. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Pat? Thank you for having me, man. I'm hyped to be here.
Of course. You're one of my favorite people to break down fights with, and we've done it a few times now
across
various platforms. So why don't you just do a quick intro on yourself and where people can find you?
Yes, sir. So if you guys don't know me already, my name's Mike. You can find me on Twitter at CouchWarriorPod. That's probably where you want to follow me. When I make my bets, that's where I post them. If you follow me, you know I'll be posting at 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Lines are there. I'm betting them. So make sure to follow me there. Couch Warrior Podcast on YouTube. And yeah, I'm hyped to be here with Pat. This is my fucking guy. So let's go. Yeah,
and I put all of your links down in the description too. So go give him a subscribe. His channel is moving fast. I know he just bursted past 200 subscribers. So that's nice to see. People finally getting on the action there. How have you been doing betting-wise in the UFC the past few weeks? I'm on a 4. I barely squeaked by the last event, but I'm on a 4-fight, for the UFC win streak here. What are you rocking? How'd the last event go for you?
So we've been doing pretty good. I don't know exact numbers of events, but I know that I'm on a upward trend. That's for sure. Nice. It's been like 1-2 unit profits, but it slow and steady wins the race. I haven't really said it much on my Twitter because I believe in drinks, so I'm a little bit scared. But I'll say it here. I started off this year and I dropped I think I was like negative 20 units after UFC 270. And I'm currently plus 55 units, I think, on Bet MMA.
Nice.
So we've been climbing. We've been trying. So doing pretty good.
I had a really fast rise earlier this year, and then I dipped a little bit and then came back now pretty strong. Over the past, that 12-week stretch, it was, over 25 units. But I've kind of, like you said, slow and steady growth. I've gotten more comfortable with just leaving the parlays aside for the most part. It used to be like, make or break weeks where it's either
not this week.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm playing just a lot of money lines. So far betting wise, I've got 5 money lines. I've got cash on 4 props, and most of the props involve Ciryl Gane and Tai Tuivasa. So we'll get into it. But let me shout out the chat real fast. We got our boy Victor De Jesus as usual in the chat, saying let's go, and we got our guy Sick He Does MMA. You guys got to go subscribe to Sick He Does MMA. That kid's doing some great work as well. Some good YouTube short action there, and compilations, edits, things like that. And he does do breakdowns as well of some of the bigger events. So go check him out on Twitter. But let's just break into this. The bout order did get switched around. We've got 12 fights currently still on the slate, and we're kicking off with Eileen Perez versus Stephanie Egger. This was supposed to be Eileen Perez versus Zara Dos Santos at featherweight to women's 145, but short notice replacement Stephanie Egger, who actually fought earlier this month. I think it was the 1st of August on the Santos Hill card. So she got tapped out in round 1 by Mayra Bueno Silva. She tried to play it off like she didn't, no admission of guilt there. She kind of just stood there and
there was no tap, Pat. There was no tap.
You didn't think so? That armbar was locked in though, so
I have no clue. I'm just playing.
Either way, she got finished. So she's coming back. Didn't take much damage. Her arm did not get broken. Nothing else happened. So she's 34 years old, 5'6", 68-inch reach. Obviously, the more experienced of the two in the UFC. Eileen Perez is 7-1, and that one loss was a DQ due to illegal strikes. off the Argentinian regional scene. She's a bigger girl, she's 5'5", 65.5-inch reach. So giving up a little bit of height, a little bit of reach, but she does have those muscular legs. That lower body looks powerful, and she uses that to drive her opponents against the cage, get in clinch range, take them down. And the level of competition has been abysmal. Out of those 8 fights that she's had, I think, only 3 or 4 of them have actually had like a professional MMA win. So it might be through no fault of her own coming off of the South American regional scene. But either way, I mean, I'm not impressed by what I've seen by her. And not only that, but she's taking this into the wheelhouse of Stephanie Egger. She's getting in close clinch range, probably going to get flipped on her back with that judo magic from Stephanie Egger. And I think she's going to get subbed in round 1. So the betting odds have come down. Stephanie Egger was up towards like minus 350. She's now, I saw a bet online before this that I was telling Mike backstage, she's minus 243 in the money line now. So maybe a playable line for Stephanie Egger. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, man. So I definitely think it's a playable line on Stephanie Egger. Like you were saying, Perez, literally her last fight, she fought my 3rd grade math teacher. So she's not fighting the best competition at all. My 3rd grade math teacher wasn't that good at MMA.
Your 3rd grade math teacher needs to hit the gym, dude.
I'm telling you, she's got a long way to go, and Perez had a hard time. But all jokes aside, Perez is getting held against the fence by regional scene fighters who are not very good. She's having striking success, sure, but like if you really watch it, is it really that good? No, it really isn't. Stephanie Egger isn't some boxing gold medalist. No, she's not. But I think that in MMA, she's the better striker here. And then if you're going to tell me that Perez is going to come out here and take down Stephanie Egger, then that tells me you're looking at the Tracy Cortez fight, because that's when that happened. And Perez and Cortez, they're like this. Like, forget apples to oranges. We're talking about different planets.
Whole different leagues, yeah.
So if Perez is pushing Egger against the fence, I imagine Egger's going to throw her. If Egger's pushing Perez against the fence, I imagine Egger's going to throw her. So like Pat said, I think that a round 1 sub is definitely live. Stephanie Egger inside the distance. I parlayed her at minus 243. I just said F it. I kind of like that. So that's what I'm on. Same side as you, Pat.
Just looking at some of my notes. Yeah, I got I saw the Egger sub just in any round is plus 225. Round 1 sub plus 475. Not bad looks, but personally, I'm probably going to stay off of this. Although that line moving has really tempted me. And at that price tag where it was like a plus 275 for Eileen Perez, I know there's going to be people just fading, just MMA math for women's MMA anyways. You just throw money on the dog, a little stab on it. Not that that's not in play here, but when you watch the tape on Perez, I just don't know anything that I can like about her. Her striking does look okay when she uses it. Like her kicks look okay. Some of her strikes look like there's at least some fundamental form there. Again, she's doing basically target practice against some of these women she's fighting. And then also, what do you expect in her debut? She's going to go out there and not lead on her strength, which is going to the clinch work. I don't think she's going to play a safe fight here in strikeout range. So, it's probably Egger or pass here. You could try those props. Those are kind of juicy, though. And, Mike's using her as a parlay piece. So, pretty brave in the first fight of the night. I like it. Let me go shout out the chat again, just since we got some people who just joined. We got, of course, Papa Chuck hopping in. MMA community mainstay. Oh, Brian Lefebvre. What's going on, Brian Lefebvre? I love to see him here. Celebrity in the house. We got Sicky back in here. PJ Pillar. Yeah, Robert Whittaker is fighting on the co-main event. That's going to be fun. Obnoxious American MILF number 1 in the house. All right. How many units are we putting on Tai Tuivasa, boys? Hey, stick around until we get to the main event, and we will get there. And, hey, Egger might do the reverse twerk on Eileen Perez. Have you seen that footage on the regional scene where Eileen Perez tries to do like the – who's that chick in what's that, Bellator?
Loreda.
Yeah, Loreda. She kind of did like her own rendition.
I didn't even know she did that. I didn't watch her fights that long. I just turned them off after.
Yeah. Oh, you got a question, Mike. What are you smoking on? Any suggestions?
A little bit of both, brother. We do everything around. I'm sorry. This is mad small and embarrassing, so I'm just going to say sorry.
Yeah, you got to put that little thing back in your pants there, boss. What's going on? Oh, my guy, Low Rida in the house. What's going on, Big Swolger? That's me. Oh, Dominic D. Fiore. We got some new faces in here. What's going on? There we are. Anyways, moving on to the second fight of the night. A little bit more talented here between Khalid Taha and Christian Quinones at men's bantamweight. Khalid Taha not having the best run in the UFC, although he is 13-4 overall with 1 no contest. And we got Christian Quinones coming off of the Dana White Contender Series last year, where he got a contract off of that win over Zhao Long. That was all the way back last October. So he's been itching to get a win, although this Khalid Taha fight is technically on short notice for Christian Quinones. He's been itching for a fight for a while. I'm sure he's in shape and ready to go at 26 years old, fighting in some good organizations like Brave, Combate, the UWC. These are notable names of organizations, but they have at least decent competition to warm him up. I like Christian Quinones. He's got great leg kicks, murders the calf of his opponents too, and he's got great cardio. I think he's out of, Mike, you're usually up to date on where these guys are training out of. Isn't he out of Entram Gym?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like that gym. There's a lot of killers around there. They're training at altitude. This guy's takedown defense could use some work, but he's got pretty good takedown offense as well. He went 5 rounds with his opponent before going to the Dana White Contender Series. And Khalid Taha, he's going to be at a size disadvantage here. He is a short, muscular guy, as Khalid Taha. Not that I'm hating on Taha too much. He has had a tough time in the UFC, having to fight Sergey Morozov, having to fight Raoni Barcelos. These are really good, tough competition, but I think his striking is really, more powerful up close, at close range and the clinch range, whereas Quinones, I think, can play that long kickboxing game as well as the close range war as well. So when I saw this line, it was plus 120 or plus 125 on Quinones. I put a unit to play on that one. Khalid Taha now, it's closer. It's like a pick-em price tag, minus 110 a piece for both of these guys. But I'm on the Quinones side. I think if he, takes this, it'll be by decision most likely. And if it ends inside the distance, probably Taha. But what do you think about this one, Mike?
Yeah, man. So I'm on the same side. I took Quinones at plus 113. And the way I looked at it was, I think we're going to be on the feet for the entire fight. Who's going to wrestle here? Taha? No. Is Quinones going to wrestle? He could. Is he going to find success? I don't think so. Just because Sergey Morozov was taking Taha down does not mean that Quinones is going to be taking Taha down. So because I'm on Quinones with you, I'm going to try to poke some holes real quick in our argument, because there are some. First off, I just mentioned we're going to be on the feet, right? So if you pull up Quinones' last fight on the Contender Series when he fought Zhao is a wrestler, and that's about all he does well. He's not a very good striker. And Zhao, round 2 and round 3, was finding way too much success on the feet to be comfortable with if you're going to be backing a striker against a striker, right? So there's concerns there. Anyone backing Taha, by KO, I don't hate it at all. I just think that at the end of the day, Quinones is the bigger, younger guy. And if you tell me that we're on the feet the entire fight, more often than not, I think Quinones is going to win. So I'm with you, Pat.
Yeah, it's just a tough one. It's kind of hard to measure up sometimes that level of regional scene competition. And the pro circuit of MMA can go through various levels of competition when you're on the regional circuit. I named the organizations that I thought were actually respectable ones that Quinones has been in. I watched a lot of those fights, and he seems like he does have that pace to go not only 3 rounds, but 5 rounds. He doesn't seem to slow down his output, which I like a lot. Sometimes Taha does have trouble going that hard 15. And you're getting plus money on it, so I'm not too worried about that. I wouldn't probably bet him at these minus odds. Maybe a pick and price tag, sure, but if it keeps going in that favor of Quinones, I'd be a little bit sketched out as well. The prop that I had here was probably Quinones' decision. You can go up to like plus 185 on at this point, which I still like that one as well. That's how I see him winning the majority of the time. Do you agree with that, or do you think Quinones can get this done inside the distance? Nah,
man, I'm with you. I think if you want props here, Quinones' decision, or I think that Taha KO isn't bad at all. I think you can get KO at like plus 420 or something like that.
Sicky says he's on that at plus 400.
Yeah,
I don't mind that either.
You can't hate that.
Yeah, so all right, we're in agreement so far. I'm sure we'll cross paths at some point soon.
We better.
Probably not in this next fight, but hey, who knows? Maybe you're known to take Mike. You're a pretty good like underdog chaser. You're not like just chasing them just because you're one of these value boys, but you do a pretty good job of like mixing in and defending your points without just making it solely about the plus money side of things. So I don't know, maybe. But Gabriel Miranda versus Benoit Saint Denis. This being in France, of course, they're trying to pile in as many French, and just people in that area as possible. Benoit Saint Denis is one of those guys. He made his debut up at 170 last year on short notice against Elizao Zaleski dos Santos, who put one of the biggest beatdowns in a 3-round fight you can possibly put on somebody. And, Benoit Saint Denis, he actually showed like such like talent and like toughness and like all the intangibles in a loss that you want to see in somebody for them losing a fight so badly. Was there like a 30-25 scorecard on there or something crazy like that? Where
I think so. Something like that.
Dos Santos almost killed him, and the ref was just getting all kinds of. I mean, the ref actually in that fight was exited out of the arena, basically not allowed to ref another fight. I hope he's a ref at some point.
He's
again
still refing in Russia, by the way. I saw it.
Oh,
yeah, he is.
I gotta watch whatever. Is that like M1 or something? Where's he refing?
ACA. I just saw him this past week.
Ooh. What's his? It's like Vyacheslav Kislyev, I think was his name.
Vyacheslav Kislyev.
Yeah, I love that guy, man. He lets people die in there. It was awesome. But anyways, getting away from my point here. Benoit Saint-Denis, the Frenchman, former like special forces guy or something too. He's only 26 years old, 5'11", 73-inch reach. Just a super tough southpaw. And he's a submission fighter as well as his opponent, Gabriel Miranda, who's the underdog in this bout, making his debut. So Gabriel Miranda basically has no stand-up from what I've seen. Like his stand-up looks very poor. He does go to it sometimes and has like, can kind of shadow box and like feint his way into range, but his footwork is just complete trash. So I think Benoit Saint-Denis, I think the KO is on the table for this guy, even though he's largely a submission guy. So I'll let you kick this one off as far as breaking it down.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll start with this. I posted on my Twitter this past week. So if you look at the records, just do some quick wiki capping, right? You always got to start off there. If you look at the record of Miranda, right? So my guy has 15 wins. Now let's go look at these wins. 9 of 15 wins come from 2 promotions. Both promotions are flat. I didn't even know this was a thing that happens. Both promotions are flagged. By the way, I love that. Fight ends in sub plus 135. Love it. But both promotions are flagged for pretty much setting up fights, right? Like padding records. That's what they got caught for.
I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah, man. And I was very curious about it because literally 7 of those 9 fights come from one promotion, 2 of them in 2021. And I just looked at the cards, right? And if you look at the card, every winner is like almost undefeated. And then every loser is like 0-0 or 0-8-0, 0-6-0, 0-7-1. Like it's awful. And then let's erase all that, right? Let's pretend he's fighting studs. Still, there's not much to like on Miranda. No striking. Wrestling sucks. Defensive wrestling sucks. All he can do is sub guys. So look, can he get a guillotine if Saint-Denis just goes in there on a sloppy takedown? Yeah, he could. Can he get a triangle maybe from bottom or an armbar? He could. I don't think he's going to. So I'm all over Saint-Denis here. I got him at a much better price, minus 210. Now he's like,
that's awesome.
He's almost minus 280 now in most places, minus 270. It's getting steep, but look, you mentioned I've been doing all right with dogs, not always that way. So I'm glad it's going that way right now. But what I try to do is if I'm liking a dog, I need to find a path, right? I need to find a path of victory, any kind, just some kind of path. And I'm just not seeing it here other than like a quick sub. And I'm not betting on that. So I am on Saint-Denis. Are my cheeks going to be clenched in round number 1? Oh yeah. But after that, hopefully I'll be comfortable. So I'm on Saint-Denis.
Zero cardio for Miranda. Is that what you've seen as well? It kind of seems that way.
I mean, I don't.
And the way you talked about his like defensive wrestling being lacking as well. It also is one of those jiu-jitsu guy things where like he's one of those guys that's so content to be on his back. If he's like losing position on a takedown attempt, he's not sprawling. He's getting the worst end of it. He's like, whatever. I'll just try to throw up arm bars, triangles, whatever. And you mentioned Benoit Saint-Denis. He could get guillotined. He could get his neck snatched up. And I've seen people saying that he puts his neck out there. That guy is so strong. And like, he actually does very like, he does like some pretty good technical things. Like he always goes for the wrists. He always gets wrist control on his opponents when he goes for those bad positions. He always can really push off their head and circle away. He's just a very tough guy at like tucking his chin as well. Like he just seems like he's too strong to like actually be submitted that way. I could be jinxing it here, but I believe in the toughness of Saint-Denis, and that's been proven beyond the a shadow of a doubt. So a guy who fights for your dollar that we saw last year came back at his first UFC win. I love this spot. So even at minus 260, I got a worse money line than you by far, and I still paid 2.6 units to win 1. So I'm confident in this one. No clinched butt for me in round 1. I think this is a pretty safe spot. And even to get like the KO at plus 300 inside the distance, minus 140 for Saint-Denis. I like what obnoxious American MILF said, which was fight ends in sub at plus 135 for either guy. That'll cover Miranda's. I don't even know what book that's on, but that covers Miranda's only option to win this fight, most likely, as well as Saint-Denis most likely.
I do want to say though, I think I told you this, Pat, like yesterday or something. I'm going to be playing. I already did, actually. I played Saint-Denis round 2 and 3 KO. Yeah. And the reason I did that is because when I get these kinds of spots where I think a person, like, yeah, they're expected to get subs normally in their finishes because that's what their record says. But if I think that they can also get ground and pound KOs and I'm getting like crazy plus money odds on that, like I'm going to play that. Like I played that with Matt Schnell against Sumaderji. His sub prop was plus 900. His KO was like plus 16, I think. He almost KO'd that kid. It was super close. Could have gone either way. And that's why I try to go for the bigger odds if I think ground and pound is live. And I think ground and pound is live here because look, Miranda, say what you want. You can't discount his sub game. He's got 9 submission wins. Like even if those are gas station attendants, it's still hard. It's difficult. Right. He clearly has some talent in the BJJ department. So if Saint-Denis gets him down, do I think he's going to sub him if he's going to finish, or do I think he's going to knock him out? I think he can knock him out. So plus 1,700 round 3. I think round 2 was plus 1,100. Okay. Throw a 1/10 of a unit on it and call it a day.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I broke this down for the Tyson Pedro Harry Hunsucker fight where, obviously it's like Pedro's like main thing is to go for the subs. He's a BJJ guy, but it's like what happens when usually it's a club and sub victory. You hit the guy, he goes down, you grab his neck. What happens when the guy is so breakable that you only get half of that and the fight's already over? I feel like that's the spot here as well. And another fight that's later on this card, I feel like the same thing goes on. What's going on, Cody, my guy from Blood Money MMA Bets? What's going on, my boy? One of my other best friends in this space. He just had a stream earlier tonight as well. I got to go back and rewatch that. So moving on to, is this already up here in this card? I know this got switched off the main. This is Joaquin Buckley taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Do I have this order right?
It makes no sense, but yeah, you do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes they switch things around and we, it's just to get people to watch the prelims, I'm sure, and it works every time. I mean, not that I don't watch every fight there is, but Buckley is the plus 200 underdog here against Nasruddin Imavov, who's the minus 250, minus 260, probably climbing favorite here. Both guys are young. Joaquin Buckley, only 28 years old still. He's a little over 2 years removed from the best knockout in UFC history over Impa Kasangane that he's been, really made famous for. He had that slight hiccup against Alessio Di Chirico where he got knocked out, but now he's come back on a decent win streak here. Nasruddin Imavov, kind of a similar boat where he lost kind of a closer decision to Phil Hawes. Still only 26 years old though, and 6'3", 75-inch reach for Imavov. 11-3 record, 4-1 in the UFC. I love Imavov here. He's the rightful favorite. I think he does deserve this price tag, but I'm having trouble pulling the trigger on it because I just don't like getting in the way of Buckley, who's been, kind of a cash cow with these knockouts. He's a very explosive guy as Buckley. He's got undeniable power, southpaw striker, very creative with his strikes. And it's one of those guys where it's like, I don't bet on a knockout chance, but I also don't want to bet against it here either. And now he's going for takedowns occasionally. His gas tank seems okay, but I do think Imavov is better in all spots here with the gas tank. I think he's better technically on the feet. And I think he's got, much better grappling as well. And he's getting better with every fight at 26 years old. Who doesn't like a Dagestani-born guy who's now training out of the MMA factory? So never been knocked out either for Imavov. And he's passed that test with guys who are power strikers like Phil Hawes, like Edmund Shabazi, and like Ian Heinisch even is a good finisher. He's faced a lot of these explosive guys, not gotten finished. And he's actually finished the last 2 names I mentioned. So I'm on the Imavov side very confidently. As most confident as I can be to not have a bet on this fight. So you want to talk me onto a bet here, Mike?
No, I'm not going to talk you onto a bet, but I'll say a few things. First off, about Buckley round 3, I don't think that he can hold up well in round 3. I know that we haven't seen it tested much, but just look, him versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan, right? Let's pretend we never watched that fight. If anyone was asked in the MMA Twitter sphere, who's going to be better in round number 3, Abdul Razak Al Hassan or Joaquin Buckley? Literally everyone would have said Buckley, right. And that wasn't the case. Abdul Razak Al Hassan won that 3rd round on every scorecard, I'm pretty sure. So just something to think about, right? And meanwhile, you got Imavov fighting Phil Hawes. I know everybody loves to crap on Phil Hawes. I think Phil Hawes is great. He's got his problems, but I'm a fan. I don't think a loss to him is bad. But in round 3, what was happening? Phil Hawes was washed, and Imavov was murdering him. Imavov was not tired. Imavov persevered. He went through tough things. He wasn't winning that fight the entire time. But still, in round number 3, he was going at it. So, yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm on Imavov here. Mm-hmm. I got him at a decent price tag, minus 180 on open. I played that for 3 units. I thought that was pretty a pretty good deal. I think that what the line is at now, it's wide, but I think that it makes sense. Look, I'm a Buckley truther, and I've bet against Imavov almost every time. So, I'm not biased here. I think really highly of Imavov. Of Buckley, I'm sorry. He's super explosive. He has good hands. It's just he's one-dimensional, first of all. Like, I know he got that beautiful kick against Kasanganay, but, like, he doesn't kick often. Like, he just doesn't. And
you have to imagine he's always going to be a little – there's going to be at least, like, a couple points or so on his money line just because of that always. Like, for the end of time, he's going to have, like, gray hair in the octagon if he lasts that long. Like, he's still going to get just a little bit of that money line. It's going to be extra because of that kick, right?
I'll never forget that kick. Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, I was sitting right here at my desk watching it, actually.
I was right next to my buddy, bro. We were just grabbing each other like Joe Rogan, John Anik.
Yeah, it was insane. That was such a crazy that was a fun card, too. And the fact that it was, like, without a crowd back in the COVID days of, like, being just was that on Fight Island?
Nah, I think it was Vegas. I think it was Vegas.
Okay. I remember there's no crowd, so it was like, and it was before there was even like a crowd allowed. Like now you can go to the Apex and there's like 60 to 80 people, a lot of media members. Back then it was just the corners. You could hear them breathing basically, and that was such a fun knockout.
It was kind of like the Edwards knockout where like you did not process what just happened. Your eyes are seeing it, but your brain didn't get it yet. Well,
because even Impa Kasanganay didn't his brain like shut off, but he just like slowly like tipped backwards, Oh, this is great. Shout out to my guy, Tio Shot GG. Your picks have been an essential part of my drive to work lately. That's how I do a lot of my my viewing and like listening to a lot of the guys in the space because I have an hour drive each way to work. So that's part of my day is doing that. Why does James Krause hate Buckley so much? They had some sort of like beef back at the gym, right?
Buckley was just apparent. This is from Krause's side. I don't know Buckley's side. So there's always two sides, and Krause has been questionable lately. But
yeah, he sure has.
So take this as you may, but according to Krause, Buckley pulled up to their camp and was there training, and he was just being very cocky and just kind of like, I'm the shit, look at me. And that's why they didn't like him. And I guess that's why Buckley didn't like Krause, because I think he was complaining at the time after he knocked out Impa that he had nowhere to train or like nowhere stable to train. So I think that was the beef. And honestly, Dana dropped the ball not making that fight. Like, why would you not make that fight?
Right. I don't know. Papa Chuck's in. I'm from the United States. Where are you from, Mike? Aren't you from the United States as well?
He said, "What part of the country?"
Well, part of the country. Oh, gotcha. I'm in the Midwest, and Mike's an hour ahead in the
New York City, baby.
Yeah. So there we are. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things, right? Against Hawes, I remember having money on Imavov as well.
I had Hawes there
that time, so I remember I had money on Imavov, and I was yelling just like because he almost was able to like outstrike him in that last part, and he ended up clinching up somehow. Somehow Phil Hawes would get his mitts on him and push him against the cage. So I don't know. Yeah, you brought this up as well. That was a rough one. Getting stuck underneath Al Hassan, gassed for a couple minutes of that fight. So, anyways, moving on to an interesting fight here. There's another UFC debutant. This is Firas Ziam taking on Michael Figlak. Firas Ziam has been brought back. I think as of August, they got him a new contract after he was cut, or they just didn't renew his contract at a certain point. But August, they brought it back. Mike Figlak coming off of the Cage Warriors scene where he's 6-0 in Cage Warriors. 8-0 professionally, 9-2 amateur. Mike Figlak is a Polish guy that's fighting over there in the Cage Warriors, and very big legs on this guy, very athletic frame at lightweight, and he's actually, got very good striking, good takedown offense. He seems to be like a really, forward pressure type of guy. I like his ability to cut off the cage against his opponents so far. Not the best opponents, but as good as you're going to get over there in Cage Warriors. I think he has a pretty good entry to the UFC, and I think he definitely deserves to be in this spot here at 155. Firas Ziam is an interesting opponent, though. 6'1", 75-inch reach, 25 years old for Firas Ziam. He's still a young guy. Mike Figlak, 26 as well. Firas Ziam has gone 2-2 in the UFC. He's a very low output guy, but when you do see the flashes of brilliance from the output he does put out at kickboxing range, it's actually beautiful. Very talented, fluid mover on the feet. He's got that problem where he can get taken down and not have the best urgency getting back up. But, it's a work in progress, I feel like. And I feel like it's going to be very hard for Mike Figlak to forward pressure into him without getting counterstruck at that kickboxing range with this big size disadvantage here. So at plus 160, I think it's climbing a little bit to like plus 165.
Dude, plus 180 now.
Plus 180 now. And you can get
growing and climbing.
Yeah, I like that a lot at that price tag. Mike Figlak somewhere around the neighborhood of minus 200, and that side is blowing up too. So, Am I the most? Will I be shocked if Mike Figlak comes in here and can grind him out, put him on his back, outwork him on the cage, and get a decision? Probably not. But I think at this price tag for the UFC experience and just the size and just how fluid of a mover for Ziam, I actually took the money line shot on for Ziam at plus money. So I like him to win most likely by decision. My prop for this one would be Firaz to win. I think it's like plus 220 or something by decision. I would like that a lot. It will worry me, though. This will be a tense fight, but I think we got the better side of the plus money on Ziam. What do you got, Mike?
All right, so I got a few things to say. First off, I want to talk to Papa Chuck. Being in New York, am I attending MSG? Am I buying a ticket? Hell no. I cannot afford to be on the floor for $1,000. So if I'm buying tickets, it's up there for $500, $600, and there is no way I'm doing that. I went to 268. I paid like $350 and sat at the top, and that was all right. No way I'm doing that. I might get lucky, though. My brother has a hookup. There's a possibility I might get free tickets.
Are the nosebleeds not good at
down at the bottom? Not at MSG. It's whack, too, because like unlike other stadiums, there's like a top piece that hangs over you. So if you're sitting at the very top, if you don't have like the best tickets at the top, not only are you at the tippy top, but you're like half of your view is blocked by the top floor.
Oh, okay.
So it just sucks. Like,
yeah, see, that's what's nice about all the Vegas casinos and the hotels there is I've been going there since I was a kid, and like, you can back in the day you'd be able to pay like literally $25 to $50 back in the early days going to MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, and they're built in such a way where even the nosebleeds, you've got a great view of the ring and you're not that far away, like in all honesty. Like they build it on such a vertical like axis.
But yeah, man, I really hope I get to go, but we'll see. Not buying tickets, that's for sure. But back to this fight. So first off, I wanted to say, I said this on my show like an hour ago. Make sure to run that back after this. I think that the main winners of this fight are the people who bet Figlak at minus 110. That was the open. It sat there, I think, that night. Anyone who hit that, good job. He made a good bet.
Yeah, that's great.
That said, at this rate, if you haven't placed the bet yet, just wait. It's looking like Ziam's going to hit plus 200. And if Ziam hits plus 200, that's ridiculous. I'm going to double up my bet there. So, look, Pat's touched on pretty much everything, but Ziam has the size advantage. He's younger. He's this kickboxing guy here. Figlak, he's good at everything, but he's not amazing at anything. All right? Like, I think that Figlak is going to be a top prospect. I think he's going to be really good. We haven't seen nothing yet from that kid. I just think that to make him a minus 200 plus favorite, he's making his debut in Paris. First ever event over there. Huge pay-per-view. Dana White's already said the whole stadium's filled out. Those nerves are real. We see it time and time again. People making their debut at a huge pay-per-view. It does affect them. It does. And then he's fighting Ziam, who, say what you want. Low output. I don't like betting on the guy because of that. He's low output. And look, if you're a kickboxer, right, and you don't grapple, and you're coming into the UFC, how are you going to win fights? You have to strike. You have to throw things. And Ziam doesn't, which stresses me out, especially if I'm going to be backing him. But, you look at his fights and he's growing and he's improving. Yeah, he got bopped by Terrence McKinney, but I'm so high on Terrence McKinney. I think his grappling's elite. I think he did what he needed to do. I think there's a reason that Terrence didn't strike with this guy for a second. It's because Terrence is smart and he knew that he can just grapple him and finish him, and that's what he did. Ziam's low output, but his striking is there. The technique's there. The jab is amazing. If he just would follow it up, he's going to be a beast. I do think he's getting it together. You look even at the Malarkey fight, he got a takedown there. It actually looked pretty good. I was like sitting here, smacked, watching the fights, taping it for you guys, and then I was just dying laughing when he shot a takedown because it's like unexpected, but it was okay. But what it showed me is he's growing and he's improving. And against a debutant as an underdog, and I think you're going to get plus 200 at this rate. I love Ziam. And sorry, Pat, one other thing. Sorry, I'm ranting.
Go for it, brother. That's what we're here for.
So you brought up the decision, and I understand that's what everybody's thinking because Ziam, more than not, is going to the decision in the UFC. Figlak, outside of the UFC, has been going to the decision.
Right.
But I'm going contrarian here. So you can get Fight Doesn't Go at a better price. You can get the under 2.5. You can get it at plus 250. And like, I'm not a percentage guy. I don't know all these implied probabilities off the top of my head. I know that's better than 80-something%. And
for what?
For the Fight to Go.
Okay, gotcha.
Fight doesn't go as like plus 250. So if you're better at math, maybe you'll know. But I just think that, look, both of these guys are strikers. I think both of them can finish one another. We haven't seen it from Ziam in a minute, so we're all so conditioned to not like expect it. But at the end of the day, he is a good striker, and he does have power, and he's a big guy.
Especially with somebody coming forward to him too, he'll be a willing dance partner for Ziam to actually get that strike. Going against the guy who's coming towards him, he gets the strike going back. He's very good at those pull counters. Very long, crisp striking too, and that's usually the recipe for that head-on car collision of a knockout strike. So,
I think Figlak can finish him too. On ground and pound, I think he could do it. So, fight doesn't go plus 250. I like that as a contrarian play quite a bit.
And what nobody is talking about, and Sicky does. I didn't see many people on Ziam, like many handicappers on Ziam at all, to be honest. And I understand completely why, but. Yeah, it's one of those things I always talk about where there's the young guy who's like 26 coming in with no pro losses on his record. And sometimes you need that to start making those improvements. Maybe he does have a close fight here and he looks good in a loss against Ziam. Who knows? And then he gets better from that and he makes something. What you need to do is we always have that sibling syndrome, right? So I don't know if you're familiar with Matus Figlak, who's his brother, also in Cage Warriors. And a very similar record as well, but he's like a very submission-based fighter. Got a lot of finishes on his record. So I need to go watch Matus Figlak and see if he's the better of the two. And then that's like I'll feel more.
Do you think he can get signed? I never even heard of him.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, he's like on the same like kind of course. Like he's had 4 Cage Warriors fights.
Is he younger or older?
I believe he's a little bit older. I want to say. I don't really know for sure.
Is it normally the older siblings who are better or the younger ones? I'm like trying to think. Shevchenko older, sure. Figgy is older.
Oh, is it?
Kyle Dawkins is older.
Kyle Dawkins is older than Chris?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh shit. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
And I know I'm in the minority thinking Kyle's better than Chris, but I do.
Absolutely.
I'm blanking on other ones. But
interesting. Yeah, well, check into that, folks, because that's an angle I haven't seen anybody talk about in this space. Like, which is the better? You can't have 2 good siblings. There's got to be one like bad apple out of the batch of
Kosi brothers are probably like the closest in level to each other out of twins.
The Kosi brothers. Oh, Koski, yeah, for sure.
Valentina's younger. Obnoxious is right.
Okay, well, there we go. Oh, what's going on, Jenna? Good to see you in the chat. Always supporting the content on Twitter and in the live chats. Yeah, so both on the same dog here, too. I thought we were going to get something different going there, but maybe the next one. I don't know. This is a different one as well. Dustin Stoltzfus taking on Abus Magomedov. And if you're familiar with the PFL back in the 2018 season, Abus Magomedov was, I think, a Dagestani born. And then later in life, he moved to Germany, started kickboxing, doing MMA around age like 15, 16. And Abus Magomedov is kind of a scary guy. I mean, he's 6'2", 78-inch reach. At middleweight, huge frame, really rips the body and goes crazy with the body strikes. Finished a lot of guys in his pro career with body strikes. Made it all the way to the finals, albeit, the 2018 season of the PFL was a very strange one where they had like 2 rounds, 2 5-minute rounds. He had a draw in there as well.
Sadibusi is about to be champ, Pat.
That was the most impressive win I saw to that. Sadibusi, he beat him, was a notable name. Abus's cardio doesn't seem to be like that. Like super high level where I'm like raving about it, but it doesn't seem to be that bad either. Dustin Stoltzfus, his opponent, finally getting his first UFC win earlier this year. I believe it was at Long Island, wasn't it? He got
Texas, baby. I was there.
Texas, and he got the win over Dwight Grant. He basically took round 2 and round 3. He's got a negative striking differential. Abus Magomedov, a very good striker, a decent wrestler. Stoltzfus obviously probably has like the pure grappling submission game in his back pocket. Maybe, I don't know. He's faced a lot of like really tough grapplers like Adolfo Vieira, my guy Gerald Mearshart. Finally he faced like his first like power puncher threat, which was Dwight Grant, who's super low output and was up a weight class. So Dustin Stoltzfus, of course, could beat him. But that's what it took for him to get a UFC win. He's the plus 200 underdog. Abus is somewhere around minus 250. I do like Abus Magomedov here, but he's been off for like a year and a half. He was supposed to make his debut in the UFC. He got this contract like this time last year and has not fought. He was supposed to fight Gerald Mearshart, was supposed to fight Magomedov, was supposed to fight, I think, like Alias whatever that guy's name is. Khizriev, yeah, okay, there we go. So he's been backing out of fights. Some of them weren't his fault. Some of them were. I don't know. And then his last 2 fights. So he got knocked out in the PFL finals. He got knocked out by Lewis Taylor. Amazing knockout, 45 seconds. The first time Abus was knocked out cold in a fight, 45 seconds in by like a 40-year-old man. All right. He goes back as a young man. He's probably like, 28 at the time. Goes back, takes some time off, goes in and gets like 2 very easy layup fights in the European regional scene. And now he's taken some time off, hasn't made it to the UFC yet. It's been like a year and a half. So as much as I like Abus in this spot to get a knockout over Dustin Stoltzfus, the layoff sketches me out. Should this layoff be sketching me out, Mike, or should it not be?
You'd be silly to not let it sketch you out, Pat.
All right.
But first off, I want to say stop listening to me because you were right. It was actually Long Island, not Texas.
Oh, okay.
I got mixed up because I went live to both. So
you son of a bitch.
I kind of just mixed them up. I was there for both of them.
Yeah, I know it was super recent, but yeah.
But yeah, you were right there. But I'll say
this is technically short notice for Dustin Stoltzfus. Although he did find out about this like 10 days after that fight. They called him to do this one.
Did he?
Yep.
That's crazy. Good for him for accepting it. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add about the layoff. Like, I think that's super valid. You look at Stoltzfus, say what you want. He hasn't been doing great. I've been backing him. That cost me in the GM3 fight, but we were so close. Backed him in the Dwight Grant fight. I thought he was a bit underrated, but there's a limit. There's a limit to things. I think he's a fairly limited fighter. And I just think that layoff or not, it's very difficult for me to see how Stoltzfus is going to win here. I think that the only thing I could think of is maybe if Abu gets like exhausted and is like just really tired because he hasn't fought in a minute. Maybe he's going to go for the finish. Maybe he's going to almost get one and then tire himself out. That happens a lot with guys coming in for the first time. Those are valid concerns for sure. I just think that he easily has him covered everywhere. I think that Abu is the better grappler without any doubt in my mind. I think that Abu is the better striker with very little doubt. Obnoxious. Stop calling me out, man. But yeah, I just think Abu has him covered everywhere. I'm totally overexposed on a guy making his debut after a while. I have a money line. I played him like minus 260, and I parlayed him a little before that. Okay. The concerns are valid, but I think he's got Stoltzfus covered everywhere. So,
I mean, he's a scary guy, and especially like I mentioned, the body shots. Some of those body shots are vicious. They're like just painful when you watch these guys crumple to his striking.
And it's like, what do you think of the striking of Stoltzfus, Pat?
It's not
meat
good.
And potatoes, right?
It's not good. I mean, I know he's been hesitant because he's fighting guys like Adolfo Vieira, GM3 that he knows. GM3 could outstrike him all day for sure.
GM3 is my guy after that last win.
They didn't get like much into it, but Gerald's a very, very good kickboxer. Doesn't get enough credit for that. Adolfo Vieira, obviously, pretty strong as well, but he's always going to be just like blasting power takedowns. So you can see maybe Dustin Stoltzfus is like hesitant in those spots, but his striking is just not that great. And it's just as Abu's like sometimes you see these guys like Abu's Magomedov, and they're like flashes in the pan, like, wow, this guy was amazing at one point. Waited a little bit too long to get to the UFC. Now they're 31. Can they recapture that magic? This is a show me spot for me. I want to see him destroy Dustin Stoltzfus, and then next time I'll be a little bit more measured of like where to price him. You know what
honestly,
I mean? So,
I feel like he's going to win a decision. Honestly,
okay.
Like if anyone's looking for props here, I feel like that's probably the look.
What's that? Do you know what that's priced at?
I have it up, so I'm going to check right now.
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm like in the inside the distance at first glance, which the KO prop plus 285. Inside the distance in general is plus 120.
Yeah, those are priced better. Decisions plus 215. Nah, I don't love that. Never mind.
Ooh, Zach Singleton with the Buckley and Vettori parlay plus almost 7-1 odds.
Could happen.
I like that. Happen. Look, I mean, I could see both guys coming through, honestly. We'll get to the Vettori Whittaker fight later on, but I could see both of those going through for you. And, everybody's on the Imavov side. Everybody's on the Whittaker side. And those are actually like kind of closer fights than you would think. So, good luck on that one. I'll be definitely rooting for you if both of those guys come through. Zach's been commenting on my stuff too that Marvin's going to show up. So he might have some inside information here. What's going on, Jenna? Cheers. And I love GM3 as well. He's a personal friend of mine. So always wishing that guy the best. But we're both on the Abu side. You're actually tied into him betting wise. You said you got him parlayed up as well as a money line shot, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm.
Hopefully it doesn't cost me.
Look, I like it too. I really do like it. And all the tapes that he leads me there, it's only me being sketched out by like I don't have any evidence for the factors.
That's how you end up not losing long-term, Pat, by being careful like you are.
I guess. I just, sometimes when these guys come in, I just want to see them have like a show me spot. Like that level at the PFL at that time, it was something. It was better than most regional scene, tape would show you. Like there were some, like Sadabusi we mentioned, but it's just been a little while, and I want to see. Oh, I wanted to bring up on that fight, actually, going back to Abus Magomedov. Were you able to watch the fight that he had right after he got knocked out by Lewis Taylor? I could not find it anywhere, and it was so interesting on Tapology, looking at the record of the guy.
I'm going to have to look myself real quick.
He beat a guy who was like 0-0. He was like a guy who went on to boxing at some point.
You have my interest. EMC3.
I tried to find EMC3. I even tried to pay for it. I could not.
Do you have the tape index?
I don't.
So you know Manpreet?
Yes.
Lock of the Night?
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah, he's the man. So he runs it's someone else's website, but he does just Google MMA tape index, something like that.
I remember when that came out, and he was kind of advertising that.
Yeah,
I should hop on.
It's not like the end all be all, but it is really helpful because he does take the time. He finds links for all the regionals, whatever. He misses stuff sometimes, like anyone would. But
he's a guy that actually I've heard him talk about calling the promoters and asking for footage too.
Yeah, so, and I mean he's talking to coaches and stuff too. He's killing it. But I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Yeah, but if you look at the Tapology, folks, what I'm talking about is this guy Abus Magomedov fought a guy after his Lewis Taylor loss in the finals of the PFL.
You can't watch it, Pat.
He faced the guy that had 0 wins. I need to go to Tapology and pull it up.
Yeah, 0-0-0.
Yeah, now the guy's 0-20 or something, isn't he? He's something crazy, horrible record.
Bro, 39-54-0.
Yeah, that's a pro boxing record.
That fight, that was pro boxing. I was gonna say that fight was in 2019.
Yeah, he got after that on Tapology, anyways. He had a bunch of pro boxing losses. But he got guillotined or subbed or something in round 1 by Abus Magomedov. I just thought that was interesting that he was even allowed to fight Abus. I know there's not a lot of rules in some parts of the world, but that also sketched me out. It's that's who you go to after you lose to Lewis Taylor. You just want to get your confidence back up, so you fight a guy who's 0-0. The guy's 40 years old too. But I wanted to find that fight because it would have been funny to watch, but I couldn't find it. So. Anyways, moving on to something a lot more fun. I think this does open up the main card, does it not? This is Charles Jourdaine and Nathaniel Wood, right? We're finally there. We passed the prelims, guys. Second half of this card. Charles Jourdaine, Nathaniel Wood. Men's featherweight. The second time we've seen Nathaniel Wood up at 145. Charles Jourdaine coming off of a super, super close fight with Shane Burgos. Again,
draw,
a draw, whatever. One of those things where, Charles Jourdaine actually is pretty even in the UFC, right? He's now 4-4 in 1 draw in the UFC. And he's lost no momentum after that, that loss to Shane Burgos, right? He had that nice 3-round victory that he almost finished against Andre Ewell. He had that awesome quick round 1 sub over Lando Venata. Comes in over that majority decision loss to Burgos, where he outstruck him 2.5 or 3-1. Yeah, why don't you kick this one off? This is going to be a fun fight, potential fight of the night.
I'm hype I get to kick it off then. So this one is one that's I feel like on Twitter, at least, this has been the most torn apart one, the civil war of the week. I'm on Jourdaine here. Look, I'm a Wood truther. I backed him every single fight since I started betting that he had at bantamweight. But since he's gone to featherweight, the Rosa fight for me was a show me spot. I needed to see how he was going to look. And look, that fight showed me 2 things. It showed me that Wood, off of this break, came off looking crisp. That striking was, it's just beautiful. You can't ask for anything more in that striking department. It was amazing output, mixed up targets, mixed up weapons. He looked so good against Charles Rosa. It's something you got to consider. And at the end of the day, the size was there. The size difference was there. Jourdaine just now fought Burgos, and he did 2 things. First off, he took a striker and he made him into a grappler, which you can't discount. Shane Burgos is such a good striker. The guy went to war with Emmett. The guy went to war with sorry, I'm blanking on the guy.
Barbosa?
Yeah, Barbosa, who shut his lights off.
One of my favorite fighters currently.
He's been going to that guy's a legit striker, and Jourdaine just made him stop striking. Jourdaine made him wrestle. And you just watch the guy. People are I see a lot of people saying that Wood can just out grapple him, but The guy's 5'6". Jourdaine's 5'9". Jourdaine has been fighting at featherweight. He's fought guys like Venata who fought at lightweight. Meanwhile, you got Wood, who got knocked out by Sean Dodson, who's a 125er. Like, at the end of the day, like, he got hurt by Eduardo. Remember that one? Like, it's just things we got to consider.
That was his first fight as well, I believe. Right?
Yeah, like, I just think that the size is going to be very relevant here. So I do like Jourdaine, and the price tag is great. Like, I really do think it's a good price tag. What do we have him now? It's like...
It's close, isn't it? It's close.
Minus 140. I got minus 135. I think minus 140 is still fair. Like, I get it. I get why Wood is live. He's a very good. He's just an amazing fighter. He's very good. I just think I'm a believer in size bullying. I think it's a thing, and I think it matters. So I'm on Jourdaine here. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I'm on the Jourdaine side. I think it's one of those things where if they were the same size, if they were sort of in the same weight class range and, striking, I think Nathaniel Wood is way better than him technically. He just is super hittable, though. His defense is not that great striking-wise. Like, he always ends up somehow getting out of position at the end of his combinations or leaving his chin exposed. And his opponents, the John Dodson fight, I love John Dodson. That was a little bit of an early stoppage, in my opinion. John Dodson was all over him like a Tasmanian devil, just like raining down hammer fists.
Bare knuckle fight, Pat?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was great. But but he was like basically raining down hammer fists, and the ref stopped it right as Wood was standing up. So I thought that was a bit of an early stoppage. But the point remains, he can get cracked at the end of his combinations. That happens time and time again. You named like 3 fights where that's happened. I think if that happens against Jourdaine, it's going to be one of those eye-catching moment, like round-winning shots where like it changes things. Where Jourdaine could get maybe outstruck here in certain spots, especially in round 1. I think maybe he will. But as this fight progresses, I think Jourdaine will start picking it up and really putting the damage on Nathaniel Wood. Now, will Wood get finished? Maybe. Can he get club and subbed? Maybe. Jourdaine's not shooting for takedowns, but he's got that defensive. Yeah, that round 3 prop is there. He's got that defensive, like the good Darce choke, things like that. He can do. He can wrap up next pretty easily when people are coming in to take him down. He's good at that. So it's one of those things where like the numbers point to this fight not going the distance. Somehow in my mind and my gut feeling, I think it might actually go to decision. I think Wood, as hittable as he is actually very durable. Like, he's got a good chin on him so far in his weight class. Again, he just fought Charles Rosa to warm up into featherweight, and he looked every bit of a minus 600 that you can in the decision win. So both of these, it's going to be exciting because both of these guys, you got like 6 significant strikes landed per minute basically for both of these guys. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think they will bang it out on the feet, and maybe Nathaniel Wood will panic wrestle at some points if he's successful in that. I don't think his success in the grappling is going to negate the damaging strikes that we're going to see, like the good optics we're going to see from the damaging strikes of Jourdaine. So I'm on the Jourdaine side. I have not put a money line bet on this fight. I was hoping this would sway closer to the minus 130 range, the minus 120 range. I'm not there yet, but I do think he wins pretty confidently.
Pat, you told me to come here ready with props, so I have a prop.
Yeah.
So for this fight, I'm playing Jourdaine round 3 both ways, but obviously I like the sub better because if you've watched my stuff, I like big props. Plus 5,000 Jourdaine round 3 sub. This is how I see it playing out. Wood is tired. They've been going to war. Wood is shooting. Jourdaine is hurting him. Wood shoots again. Guillotine. Finish. Plus 5,000. 0.1 unit to win 5. We go home.
Oh, I agree. Also, Jenna was talking about DraftKings lineups. I'm not a DraftKings player. I'm not a fantasy player. I need to maybe I need to add another vice into my my day to day. Do you have Prize
Picks where you are, Pat?
Yeah, I could get it, but I'm just not into it.
Prize Picks is the shit.
Yeah, I need to add
DraftKings. I'm not great at
sometimes I'm really slow to like warm up to new things, new concepts. I need to just get involved.
Bro, you know what's been making me a crazy amount of money for no reason in MMA? Have you ever heard of Prediction Strike?
No.
So I promise I'm not a sponsor. I actually kind of hate them because they charge too much for fees. But they're an app that makes like not just fighters. They do it for basketball, football, whatever. They make athletes into stocks. Like anyone who's gambled has thought of this before. Like, why can't I buy a stock of fucking Habib, right?
Sure, I've heard of the concept before. With
so it's actually a thing that exists, and it's not my favorite thing. But when Bo Nickel made his Dana White Contender Series debut, I was like, all right, I'm going to ride with this guy. And I just threw a sizable chunk of money on him. It's been like, what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks? I think 3 weeks, up 25%. Yeah. Dude's killing it for me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk more about that after the show about like just different methods of putting it, because it doesn't make sense for me not to do some of these things because you put in all of the research especially when you're making content, but when you're betting these fights in general, you're looking at how many takedowns each guy's going to get, who's going to land more strikes, who's going to like have more, kind of like the DraftKings style, who's going to like actually score more points per fight. You're kind of looking at these metrics already, so why not apply them in different ways? That doesn't necessarily have to be who wins the fight. Even it's kind of a win-win. Oh, shout out to the Early Weigh-In podcast. I love these guys. Go follow them and give them a subscribe. They do great work. Yeah, I expect violence, but I really only see a finishing upset from Jourdaine. Jourdaine moneyline for me. I agree completely. I'm not on that money line yet, but I've seen the sub prop as well. Even on Bet Online, it's a little bit lower on the props.
It's like plus 1,300, right? The sub.
It's like plus 900 on Bet Online at this point. I think Bovada might have
plus 1150 on FanDuel. FanDuel always Bet Rivers. I'm sorry. They got
good props. Yeah, Bet Online, usually the props get steamed. You can get it when they drop on like Tuesdays now. They used to do Mondays, but they do Tuesdays for some of the like the fight night cards. The pay-per-views are usually on point on Bet Online, but if you get them early, they move super fast. Bovada I use as well, and I use a couple others. But yeah, plus 900 on Bet Online right now. But yeah, we're both on the Jourdaine side. Have we disagreed on a winner yet?
I don't know, Pat. I really hope we come up to one soon, though.
We've got somewhere like you're super confident, I'm not. But we got maybe this will be the one. Yarno Errens taking on William Gomis. William Gomis is the I think he's at MMA Factory, right? He's one of these prospects that got training probably under Fernand Lopez, and he's the Frenchman here. Yarno Errens from the Netherlands. Both guys. This fight was initially going to open up this fight card on the prelims. Now it's on the main card, and maybe it deserves to be because they both have a lot of finishes on their record. They're both like kind of not William Gomis, not so much. William Gomis is definitely the more classic Muay Thai stance. Stands very tall, heavy on his back leg, light on his front leg. He's got some good counter striking. Yarno Errens is a guy that really goes forward and tries to push the pace in this fight. So he's a fast, mobile striker, aggressive pace. He's had some brutal KO wins as well for Yarno Errens. And the guy's like a plus 170 underdog here. William Gomis is a minus 200 favorite. I favor Gomis to win. I think he's just a little bit better everywhere this fight goes, but not so much that I would warrant to minus 200 at all. And I think it's even climbing past. It's like minus 210, minus 220 in some spots. Yarno Errens 13-3-1 professionally. 10-2 record for William Gomis, the Frenchman. These guys are about the same age, about the same height and reach. I don't see why one guy is a 2-1 favorite and one guy's not. So I'm staying off of this completely. But I wouldn't hate if you're flipping a coin in this fight and you're getting plus money. I wouldn't hate it either. But it's a pass for me. I am going to lead William Gomis to get another ground and pound finish, probably in round 2. That's how I would call this in my crystal ball. But no money involved in this fight. What do you see out of these guys?
Pat, finally some kind of disagreement. Just a little bit.
Oh, you're on Errens, huh?
Yeah, I'm on Errens, but also I totally recognize the problem here, right? So first off, what I like about Errens, when you look at a fighter, right? And,
exactly.
and you find out that their background, they're a kickboxer, right? Errens is a kickboxer. But if you didn't know that and you go look at his record, you're going to think that he's a BJJ guy because he's got 5 sub wins, and I think he's only got 2 KO wins, if even. So already that's showing me something that I like a lot because he is a good striker, but yet he's still good on the ground. And you actually watch his ground game, and he shows a lot of really good things. The back take is so clean. Once he has the back, good luck. That figure 4 is on point. I think that the reason it's this steep is, and it makes sense, right? It's because Gomis can wrestle. He's shown it. It's not what he does all the time. He prefers to strike, and if he does that, I think he's going to lose this fight because he strikes with his hands down. He's a lower output fighter. I think Errens is going to spark him on the feet, but I don't expect Gomis to let it get there. Gomis is a good fighter. He's a smart fighter. I think he's going to be shooting. So I do understand the line. I think that it's a very likely outcome that Gomis gets a decision win, but what is it? It's plus 190 now on Errens. I got plus 185, I think. I like it a lot. I see a few paths of victory for Errens, and because of that, I like the dog here. I played him for just a unit, nothing crazy, but that's my spot here.
My prop on this fight was the fight not going to decision, which was around actually decent money. I think the fight doesn't go as minus 150. the under 2.5, somewhere around like minus 120. I even saw.
Yeah,
I like that. And I was reading more into the fact that this was going to be, when I researched it, the opening fight of the night. So you've got two guys kind of nervous, both making their UFC debut, trying to make an impact, a new full crowd in a new arena. I figured it would be two guys just kind of, you see some of these. This is basically a transplanted regional scene European fight onto a UFC card. So I figured they would just go nuts, and one guy would get the finish recklessly over the other. I don't know who it's going to be. I assume William Gomis, but I like the fight doesn't go to decision. Now that it's on the main card, maybe it's even higher stakes and they go even more wild. I think it should be exciting. Both these guys have a lot of finishes on their record. You know what I mean? It's like 8 out of 13 wins by stoppage for Jarno Errens. 7 out of 10 wins for William Gomis have been inside the distance. So I like these fighters to finish one another and not go
Pat, I love it.
To decision, and the prices are pretty good on that too. It's not that bad. So
I didn't even think of this, and now I'm going to play it. So thank you, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, look for that. I mean, the money. I mean, it's not like you're paying a lot of money for it. And what are they fighting at? 145.
Yep.
All right. I mean, yeah, they look strong enough and ready to go. The problem would be like William Gomis is the guy who he kind of accelerates and is more like vicious when he's in the driver's seat. When he smells blood, he's about to get the finish. Otherwise, he's very low volume, it seems, at times as well. So, yeah, I mean, that goes more into your favor as well with the underdog shot here. He could fall behind on the scorecards if he doesn't, take this fight to the ground in a dominant way. Yeah, it's a tough fight. I like what I see out of Gomis. I'm sticking with that, but it's close enough where I think the value does fall on your side of the equation there. So, anything else to add on that one?
I just like what you said, honestly. I think that's the smartest part here.
The
smartest path here.
I mean, like octagon jitters presents itself in a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's like, with the more experienced guys, it seems to be the hesitancy to open up and expose yourself and lose. Sometimes, and a lot of guys and the newer guys, octagon jitters and nervousness exposes itself by starting too fast and like putting yourself out there and trying to get this over with and show all of your skills all at once in the first minute, and then you can get finished that way.
He's the first Frenchman on the main card too, if that means anything.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's always funny. It's like there's those cards where sometimes they have a lot of the Australian guys fighting. Like if Robert Whittaker's fighting, maybe Izzy's fighting, maybe Blood Diamond's fighting. And based on that like opener, like the least experienced guy, like, how's this going to go for the rest of their camp tonight? Is he setting the tone right or not? I don't know.
I was about to crap on you for not remembering Robert Whittaker's boy's name, but now I can't remember it either. So
Mike Mathitha?
No, that's Izzy's friend.
Malkoon?
Yes, there you go.
Malkoon?
There you go. That's Rob's boy.
All right, yeah. All right, moving on to, I like this fight, actually. I really do like this fight. This might be boring. It might not be. But I like these old man versus, kind of young up-and-coming spots. I like when the UFC tries to sacrifice the older guys to the younger guys here. This is Nasrat Haqparast fighting John Makdessi at men's lightweight 155-pound bout. Got a 10-year difference between these two guys. Nasrat Haqparast, 27 years old, the southpaw. 9 UFC fights already. He's 5-4 in those, coming off of 2 losses, albeit 2 pretty good guys. John Makdessi coming off of about a little under a year and a half long layoff, where he did win against a young guy, Ignacio Bahamondes. He managed to beat him by decision. John Makdessi's 37 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, and he's never really impressed me that much. Like, he's a good fundamental kickboxer. He trained out of, I think, with Faraz Zahabi. He trained over at TriStar. He went to Duke Rufus, actually, towards my neck of the woods for a little bit, and I think most recently he was at MMA Labs. But 18-7 record. He's been in the UFC since like 2009, 2010, something like that. 18 appearances in the UFC for John Makdessi. He's very good at counter-striking off of his back foot. He's very good at like doing that veteran dirty boxing in the clinch. But Nasrat Haqparast, even though he's coming off of a 2-fight losing streak, I really like his striking output more. I like his height and reach and age advantage. All of the tail of the tape goes for Nasrat Haqparast. At 27 years old, I'm going to predict. Sometimes you got to make these moves where you predict kind of a regression in skill for the old man and maybe an improvement for the younger guy. And they meet in the middle. And I think with these 2 losses to Dan Hooker, who was able to out-wrestle Nasrat, just outclass him in every way. And then also the loss to Bobby Green, who was just on something else that night with the boxing. I think we're getting a buy low spot here for Nasrat Haqparast. And I put a money line bet on him at, I believe it was minus 220 I got him at. I'm not sure where that money line sits now. When I saw it, it was minus 220 plus 180 for John Makdessi. maybe it's something you don't want to get involved with, but I just don't see John Makdessi being – I can't compliment this guy in any way in terms of this fight. So what do you think about this?
All right, so you did beat the line. It's like minus 236 now. So
Okay.
I just spoke about this with John, actually, and we're both on the dog here with Mushroom. We are both on Makdessi, but I'll say this. I think that Nasrat is literally just a younger version of him. I think they're like the same fighter. Like, you watch what they do. Obnoxious, you shut your mouth. Allen won that fight. But I think they're very similar fighters. You know, they do the same thing. They're both really good strikers. They're both very defensively sound. You look at their striking defense numbers, it's very rare you see something like this. It's like I think it's like 64% for Nasrat, something like that, and it's 69% for Makdessi, right? So this is going to be a close fight, I think. And because of that, that's why I'm leaning towards Makdessi. There's some issues, right? Aside from his Ignacio Bahamondes win, if you look at all of his wins, what do they all have in common? Not one of them is in the UFC anymore. Literally not one, I don't think. Unless there's, I think Donald Cerrone maybe. But even he's done, right?
All the wins for Makdessi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't beat Cerrone. He lost to Cerrone, but still.
No, he doesn't have a win over like anybody that's still there at all. I don't think anybody. I think besides Bahamondes, that's it.
Yeah, so you could.
I specifically looked that up as well, just like you brought that up, and I was
it's just like, important, right? It's important because
nobody left.
Nasrat is beating good guys, right? He's still getting good wins, and I think you're right. I do think this is a buy low spot on Nasrat. I think that if the Bobby Green fight didn't happen, like even after the Dan Hooker fight, right? Let's say that happened and he lost that fight. If the Bobby Green fight didn't happen, I bet you he'd be like minus 350 here, probably even higher. So you're right. It's a buy low spot. I just still think the dog is live. You know, they're both just too similar. And if you're going to tell me it's a 50-50 fight, which is what I think it is, I'm going to go with the dog. He is older and smaller. So
how is it 50-50 and how does he win?
So I think he can win the decision. I think it's 50-50 just because, like I said, I think they're very similar in the striking department. And I personally don't see something that Nasrat does in the striking that Makdessi doesn't necessarily. Even the output, like look against Bahamondes, right? I think super highly of Bahamondes. Realistically, I think Bahamondes probably beats him if it's not his debut and if they run it back. But it's an impressive win. He outputted him every single round. I'm only playing it for a half unit and I haven't placed it yet. I'm going to wait and see what I can get. But I just think that he's live. I do think you're right, though, about the buy low spot. So go either way.
What do you think about the over 2.5 in this fight, or fight goes to decision?
I meant to say that. I saw Obnoxious brought that up. I think it's super live, right? I mean, you have the concern that Makdessi's old, right? So maybe Nasrat can chin him. But me and John were talking about this. The only person Nasrat's knocked out in the UFC is Joaquim Silva. Yep. And the guy's not in the UFC either anymore. So, yeah, I mean, if it's going to finish, I think it's Nasrat getting a KO. But I like the over for sure.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. I mean, in what world do you see Nasrat getting another knockout? At some point, these old guys just get like, you know, they just slip up.
Live. I think it's live.
I just get knocked out. I mean, what the plus was it like plus 275 or something on the knockout for? I'm trying to look at my notes here. Plus 275 for a Haqparast knockout. I think you can find plus 325 on that as well. Not something I'm playing, but if I had to, I'm just really trying to play like future teller in this one and see, you know, Haqparast come back and really go for a big win here over a guy who, you know, Makdessi is like kind of a slippery old veteran. Like,
Pat, what do you think about Nasrat round 3 KO? You can get it for plus 1,700.
I don't even like to. I'm not sure. I feel like it would be earlier than later. Honestly,
you think so?
Like I don't think it would be a product of fatigue from Nasrat knocking out Makdessi. I think it would just be like Makdessi just like not having it anymore, not having the toughness, or just like slipping up. You know, I don't even think like I wouldn't even assign a time prop to it. Yeah, Nasrat had his mom die on a fight week last time too. Well, that's no excuse. Honestly.
Not last time. That was a Hooker one.
Mom's die. Whatever. Who cares? Is that going to be an excuse for a fighter to? Honestly, though, like these guys, I don't care about their personal lives. These guys are professional fighters. They should really have one track minds that's fighting. I don't care if their whole family dies. It should not hinder their performance at all. I really don't care.
There's been guys who have excelled under that, right? Habib Stamen's brother died before the Kelleher fight.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe they do hug it out for 15 minutes. I don't know.
I think
especially if Nasrat mom died, maybe they do hug it out. Yeah, we'll see.
I think it'll go over.
Maybe he needs a shoulder to cry on. Who knows? What's going on, DC? Smoked 91. Glad you could make it here. We got 19 live viewers in the chat. Go ahead and smash that like button. Hit that subscribe. Yeah, I know. I can be heartless sometimes. I'm usually a nice person, but with these guys, this is prize fighting. You know what I mean? Like, you should be there to do one thing, and that's destroy your opponent, and none of the outside world should matter.
Marlon Vera has the right mindset when it comes to this stuff. That guy has completely removed himself from humanity.
Mm-hmm. Or who's the best guy to remove himself from humanity is Rory McDonald. Remember that kid?
Yes.
Like, he was like a robot, Like,
that's the type of fighter happened to him, though? Did you see him get knocked out the last fight with Delano Taylor?
That was sad.
Mamma mia.
That was sad. so many people, Jenna. So many. Who hurt me was Tom Aspinall's knee hurt me. That's the last time I was really hurt.
You shut your mouth, Pat. I lost so much money.
All right, so we on opposite. So, okay, now we're getting the disagreements. Like
2 disagreements in a row, bro.
I like it. How about this one? This might be one too. Alessio De Chirico taking on Roman Kopylov. This has moved down to, is this a pick'em now? This is Alessio De Chirico. Last I researched was a minus 120 favorite over Roman Kopylov, plus 100, even money pick'em. I think it's moved down in some books to where it's like even minus 115 a piece or so. This is at middleweight. Neither guy has had a great run in the UFC, right? Roman Kopylov 0-2 for the combat sambo veteran, right? He's like a master of sport in combat sambo somehow. He looks like he's 12 years old. He's actually 31, 6 foot tall, 75-inch reach. The tail of the tape is pretty much even between these guys. Just an age difference of 1 year, same height, same reach, basically. Alessio De Chirico has 10 fights in the UFC at this point, where he's 4-6. His best wins are like Julian Marquez, obviously that Buckley head kick he got in January of 2021. Amazing. He also had a brutal knee KO over Aluwale Bombose back in the day as well. I just like the cardio of De Chirico, whether he's fighting well or not. I think he's got better output, and his cardio is just way better than Kopylov, who gassed out horribly in his last fight. Not so great even against Robertson either. So I'm not big on Kopylov. I just really think his record is padded. I'm not a huge fan of his. I'm not a huge fan of De Chirico either, but I like what I see from De Chirico. Another one of these spots where I was so close, because when I just here's some backstage of how I research some of these fight cards and I choose which one to look into first. Sometimes I do look at the odds first, and I do look at like which fights are aligned closest, and I'll kind of attack those. Where do I have to invest the least to gain the most? Well, I like those even money spots. I'll dive into those bouts. No matter how boring or exciting the fight might be, I'll dive into those. This is one of the first ones I dove into, and I was like, I think De Chirico wins this fight. I like the later round TKO for him, fading the cardio of Kopylov, but I'm not even getting behind De Chirico yet, even at this minus 120 money line. Normally, those are the spots I put money on, but I can't do it. I don't like either of these guys too much, but I'm on the De Chirico side. Give me a round 3 TKO. That's sitting around like plus 1,600 or something. That's all I got for this one. Just a flyer if I was going to make one. Well, how about you?
At least another slight disagreement. So I think the smart money here is going to not play this at all. That's probably the smart money move. But if you're going to bet this, give me the combat sambo guy, like you mentioned, right? Like that's a real thing. And in order to become a master of sport in combat, in anything, combat sambo or boxing like Peter Yan, you have to have I think it's over 100 fights, something like that. So this dude has been fighting for a long time, not MMA necessarily, but combat sambo. I don't know how many of you are familiar. It's very similar. You still have striking, you still have grappling. Like it's a very similar sport, and to know that he's had so many fights there, it's important.
Yeah, it's Whatever. Like MMA, but there's like no ring or cage. They're just usually like on some European like gymnasium floor somewhere. It's actually fun to watch.
Habib's dad's gym.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, 86% takedown defense. Chirico hasn't gotten a takedown, I think, in the last 4 or 5 fights. The last time was Kevin Holland in like 2019. And in the striking department, I edge Kopylov slightly. This is probably my least confident bet of the card. I did play Kopylov at plus 100, like you mentioned, when it was over there. At this point, it's getting too tight. Minus 110. Kopilov's even becoming a favorite, I think, slowly. Yeah, smart money stays off, but I do lean Kopylov. I did play him for a unit. I think he's gonna be better on the feet, but it's a really close fight, and there's so many unknowns. Like Chirico's fights, the last two have lasted what, like 20 seconds combined, and then he lost to Zach Cummins, and then like there's just not much.
So his last one was when he got knocked out by Al Hassan, right? That was his last one. That was like 17 seconds. Before that, it was like Buckley. Maybe like 3 minutes of circling around the cage against Buckley, and then he knocked him out with that.
It wasn't faster.
I think it was a while. I think it was a few minutes into round one. I can look it up real fast. I'm pretty sure it was at least a few minutes of circling around the cage. 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes. Yeah. 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Yeah, and that was a long time ago, man. That was back when Holloway took on Cater. That's crazy. That's been a while.
Madness.
Then it's already been a little over a year to the day since he got knocked out by Al Hassan, which was brutal to see. They had that little like promo for Abdul Razak Al Hassan, where like his because he was kind of like losing fights, and his kid's like, he says, my daughter says, Papa, no more losses, please. You need to go win this fight. And then he like went out there and just destroyed him.
Did he actually say that?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Go back and watch it. Or we're like, yeah, well, that's gonna be one sad little kid when Chirico beats him.
It's like, do you remember when Hamzat was fighting Burns? He was like talking about it. He's like, I saw Burns' kids in the hallway, and they're like, "You're fighting my daddy," and he's like, "I don't want to fight someone's daddy." Like,
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a tough fight. What do you think about the cardio of Kopylov? Do you think it was because he had to? What do you forgive that in these last couple of fights? Or
I mean, the Roberson one, I just think was a complete like terrible performance from Kopylov. Like, there's just no excuses there. Like, he just performed terribly. I think that the Duraev fight was just getting tired out from the grappling. Duraev shot what? I think 9 times there. If I remember.
I mean, what got me on that one is not only that Duraev himself was also gassed out. So it's like, and then Kopylov had like a free punching bag to like steal around 3, and he really couldn't do it himself. He did manage to like
point. That's a good point too.
Go for a takedown on him at some point, just to hug him and get some rest. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a tough fight on the eyes. But yeah, if this is a 50-50 fight, you're getting the plus money. I do like the UFC experience of Chirico, and I've seen like flashes of like, potential for the guy as well. There's been flashes of he knocked out Buckley, for God's sake, in round 1.
You remember how upset he was after he knocked out Buckley at Dana?
I remember him saying like I remember him telling like Joe Rogan or something, or maybe it was DC. He's like, no, I don't like that. I've been here, 4 times. Interview me when I lose, but
yeah,
that's
what it was.
So he gave like a full 5-minute interview just to say he's not going to interview, which I thought was kind of awkward as well. Yeah, the guy seems kind of like a Spurg. I'm not quite sure.
The angry Italians, man, they're amazing.
Yeah. Weren't we on stream with Wiz Betts when he was talking about training with Vettori and how angry he gets, just like cursing in Italian in the gym? Another guy that's very similar to that. So
I do remember.
All right, another one we disagreed on. All right, well, we're moving on to the co-main event of the evening. Robert Whittaker taking on Marvin Vettori. Good segue to Marvin Vettori fighting. And these are two guys who have both fought for the belt. Both guys have fought Israel Adesanya twice, lost to him twice. Robert Whittaker, I mean, this is a number 2 and number 3 guy right here. So Whittaker is still the former middleweight champion, 31 years old, 6 foot tall. Vettori, 28 years young, 6 foot tall. So the tail of the tape is very similar between these guys as well. Whittaker probably was a little bit more fight miles on him at the high level, but that's also goes into his benefit, right? He's a guy who fought Yoel Romero twice. Beat him twice, even though one was very close. And that's a guy who's a fantastic athletic wrestler with power in his hands, power in both knees and feet. And he passed those tests. I mean, Whittaker has been knocked down quite a bit, but he's always able to get back and recompose himself, usually win the fight, right? Unless your name is Israel Adesanya. He's got an amazing takedown defense, so that's kind of negating this to maybe being a stand-up fight. And I do favor Whittaker in that spot. I like his ability to leap inside of range, do his work, get back out of range. He's got nice quick combos, finishes him with a head kick usually, and then goes back out of range. And now he's going for takedowns a lot more too. I don't think he's going to necessarily want to do that against Vettori, but Vettori himself has never been finished. So I do like the fight to go the distance here in most worlds. Obviously, that's a very popular spot. I want to say that's juiced to like high minus 200s at this point, but that is my favorite spot. And I like Whittaker here as well, and I like him by decision. So I took that minus 125 spot on him to win by decision. At first glance in this fight, Whittaker versus Vettori, I saw the fight listed. I thought this money line would be closer. We're looking at like a minus 240 price tag on Whittaker, plus 190 or so on Vettori. A little bit wide for my taste, but when you consider the fact that both guys are durable, Whittaker's been going to decision a lot more, and Vettori's never been finished, I'll wager the minus 125. I'll wager 1.25 units to win one. I don't have to wager that minus 245, whatever it is now, because I think that money line is a little out of whack, and I don't mind people taking that money line on the dog. But I'm taking the decision prop, and that's where I stand with it. I'm pretty confident. What do you think?
Finally, Pat, we're back together.
There we go.
I also played Rob by decision. I did it for plus 100. I got a decent price tag. I got it for 1 unit only. Look, I'll say this. I think betting Vettori is not a bad bet at all. Like, I think this is way closer than the odds indicate. We're looking at two guys who have cleaned out the division pretty much. Otherwise, other than Israel Adesanya or each other, right? So I think it's going to be close. It's just in the striking, I favor Rob, right? And then how does Vettori win fights when he's uncomfortable in the striking? Even Kevin Holland, right? Kevin Holland was out striking him, so he went to the grappling. But that was a much clearer path. Is he going to take down Whittaker easily? No, not easily. Is he going to take him down? I don't know, yes or no, but he could. I don't think he's going to hold him down, though. That's the thing. I don't think he's going to hold him down, and I think in the striking, it's Rob. I just think he's the better striker. It's just really what it comes down to. Vettori's 28 years young, but Rob's only 31 also. Like, they're both super young still. So, yeah, I'm on Rob, but I'm also extremely biased, like extremely biased. I didn't bet the Israel Adesanya Rob fight because of that reason. Otherwise, I would have put 10 units on Rob. So I'm being careful. I only played 1 unit just on the decision. No parlays, nothing. But I like Rob.
I bet the on that Izzy Rob fight. I bet the overs, and then I bet the Izzy by decision. And yeah, it wasn't that much of a sweat, honestly. Like you figured. It's like a cheap way to win. It's always Adesanya leg kicks from the outside, and like it's just the way he wins fights. But he's a winner. That's what he does. How does Marvin win this fight? He stalls against the cage. I mean, he's going to have to fight. This is almost like a bigger, less talented version of maybe not less talented, but like Merab versus Jose Aldo the other week.
It made me think. Like I'm trying to think realistically. Like
how does he win? Him out. He would have to stall him out in the cage.
Best case scenario, maybe he wobbles Rob.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
He's going to have to get more control time than Rob gets better strikes in him for 2 out of 3 rounds. He's going to have to just wear him down and somehow get him down and keep him there, which not a lot of people have been able to do. I don't think anybody. So
yeah,
that's going to be a tough one.
Has anybody?
No, I can't think of any name that has actually gotten him down and held him there. It's just not something that, even Yoel Romero would get him down. He'd pop back up,
He knocked out Brunson, right, when they fought?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so, I'm not finding a lot of ways for Vettori. But, again, I do think the money line is out of whack. I think Vettori could make improvements. The guy's only 28 years old. He's a crafty southpaw guy. I mean, he could make something happen. He's getting more comfortable with his striking. And he's a very strong individual, too, with durability. So when you've got that durability like Marvin Vettori has, you can take chances. You can go for the wrestling a little bit more than the next guy without that risk of getting knocked out. So he's got that cinder block of a head. But, yeah, can't believe Aldo lost. Yeah, I mean, that was a fight. See, that's why I feel a little bit.
Aldo, Pat?
What's that?
Did you bet Aldo or
no? I bet Merab by decision because I figured it would be that way where he would constantly go for takedowns. That's where this fight's a little bit the same, but a little bit different, right? Because I know Merab, he's got such a fluid entry from the hands to the grappling, and I figured he would either get Aldo down for a couple spots or just stall him out in the cage, and that's what happened. And Aldo's already low volume to begin with. So I figured that would.
Aldo was extra low volume that fight, though. Wasn't that weird?
That's the difference. Weird. It was. So that's the difference between this fight and that one, right? Where Rob is not low volume. He's very high volume. So you've got a lot of things going for him. I like his striking output, and he's been on his feet so far. So
honestly, I think fight goes to decision is probably one of the better parlay pieces.
Yeah, I mean, what are we looking at? It's kind of high right now. I think if
minus 240.
Okay, that's not that bad actually. Honestly, if you want to.
I can't come up with many scenarios where the fight finishes. I really can't.
It would be some freak incident that nobody ever saw coming, right?
Broken ankle.
And who would finish that fight? I mean, probably Vettori maybe, but what are we going off of that for? I mean, Rob could just as easily crack him with a high kick and put him down and finish him off with ground and pound. I don't know, but we're both on the side of going over. We're both on the side of Whittaker here, so
finally.
going on to the main event. We still got 13 of you guys rocking with us. I know it's been a longer show here, but it's actually a really good betting card for fights. I see some people calling it a sketchier, greasier card. I like a lot of the spots betting-wise this week. There's some fair price money lines and a lot of newcomers that you can either fade or believe in. So moving on to this fight, which I'm actually very excited for. When I did my full card breakdown, I pretty much trashed Tai Tuivasa in a way, basically just like, saying he's got like a puncher's chance to win, which is, I think, true. I'm in love with the style of Ciryl Gane. I think he's one of the better movers at heavyweight. I'm not going to go as far as to say the cliche thing that everybody says, and that's like, oh, he moves like a welterweight. He moves like a women's atomweight. I'm not going to do that. Oh, let's go, Mike. He's getting ready for this main event. Look at him.
Gone by sub, baby.
That would have been a nicer thumbnail for this video. Yeah, but I do like Tai Tuivasa. When I saw this guy burst in the scene late 2017, I think the first time I actually saw him fight was early 2018. I see this big Samoan guy. He looks like he's a big Samoan guy knocking people out, drinking beer out of his shoe. Turns out he's from like Western Sydney. I like him. He's got a good personality. I'm like, this guy is great. He's fat as me, and he likes drinking like I do. So let's go. What can I not like? But they skyrocketed him to the top too fast, and he fought Junior Dos Santos into 2018, lost that fight, and then went on like a 3-fight losing streak. I never thought he'd be back to where he is now. Number 3 in the rankings somehow, knocking out guys like Derek Lewis. And now he's in this spot. I can't believe it. Will he get here again? This might be his only chance to do it, honestly. So I don't see him winning this fight. I don't see a lot of good options. Like he's maybe if he can kick the legs, destroy the legs of Ciryl Gane, maybe if he can get him with something. The only tough spots I see Ciryl Gane is like when Francis would pressure him against the cage and make him dart either left or right. Francis cut off the cage with his power threat, and Ciryl Gane would actually dip his head down and try to change levels. That flying knee of Tai Tuivasa is live. That uppercut is live. He's got some weapons in some very key spots if he can take advantage, but I think it's very slim, and I love Ciryl Gane in this spot. I ended up having a moneyline bet on Ciryl Gane because I parlayed him with Ricardo Ramos early on. Ricardo Ramos no longer on this fight card, so now I've got a moneyline bet on Ciryl Gane for 2 units at minus 570. I also have Mints on the distance at minus 165, and I have fight doesn't go to decision as well as the under 3.5. So I've got a lot of spots in this one to cover that Tai Tuivasa knockout chance, which I think would be early. But I like Ciryl Gane so much in this spot. I think he pretty much covers his money line price, to be honest with you. What do you think?
I'm hype you said Ciryl Gane inside the distance. I played that too, man. I hit minus 160 for 1.6 units. I also got caught with Ciryl Gane money line. I parlayed him with Taylor Lapilus, and then the fight got canceled the next day. Papa Chuck had me crying with that, by the way. That's why I was struggling to even look at the camera. I saw that and I was just dying.
If I could speak French, that would be awesome. I'll have to learn a couple lines just to do an impression of Gane after he wins.
To this day, my favorite YouTube comment was when you were on my show with Wheezy and Wiz, when that guy was like, why doesn't Pat just simply eat the other smaller peppers? By far the best comment I've ever seen.
That was great. It's still a strategy I might employ at some point.
But yeah, I think realistically, Tuivasa's got to knock him out. He's got to get lucky and knock him out. And I'm not betting on any puncher's chances. I'm good. I think Ciryl Gane is he's really good, man. Even Francis Ngannou couldn't puncher's chance this guy. Francis Ngannou had to turn into Francis Magomedov to beat this guy. He had to take him down and wrestle him. So, can Tai do it? Yes. If Tai does it, loses me 8 units, whatever, man. I'm gonna join him. I'm gonna drink some.
You're deep on Ciryl Gane, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna drink some beer out of my Viking hat with him. But
what about the? You have any time props the unders to cover that? Because I thought that would at least cover the tie. He's not gonna win a 5-round decision. He's never been there before. He's been to decision twice.
Let's see.
I figured the unders would at least, because I do think Ciryl Gane gets him out of there at some point. Even having to stand there and be braced and coiled, ready to throw a knockout blow for 3 rounds, 4 rounds, that's tiring for a guy like Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah, see, my problem with the under 3.5 is that we don't know, right? I was saying this earlier on my show. I think it's a very possible thing that Ciryl Gane's going to come in here with a tremendous chip on his shoulder, right? He went into that title fight. He was supposed to win. Dana White thought he was going to win. Everybody thought he was going to win. And he didn't win. But there's like two things that can happen, right? Sometimes that happens and a person will go and they just start losing. And sometimes they come back better than ever. I think that's what we're going to see. I think Gane is going to come in here looking for a finish. So that's why I do like him inside the distance, like you said. I'm just like under 3.5. Like, what if Gane shows up and he's careful, right? What if he wants that title fight again, so he doesn't want to risk anything? So he's just skirting on the outside, being boring again. It's possible. So that's why, like, it's
even
like
still, I feel like that would, 3.5, like 3.5.
It's a lot, right? That's literally the 4th round. That is a lot. Like, that is a lot for heavyweight.
I feel like at that point, something's going to happen. Even moving forwards and stalking, if Ty's doing that, or moving backwards and defending. I think either way, it's going to be taxing on him to go over 3 rounds. I don't see this entering the.
He's never been there, right?
No,
he's never done that.
He never really looks like he can either. Like, he had the Arlovsky fight, which was a closer one, but he, that was like the breakout spot when he beat Arlovsky. That was going on 4 years ago now.
That was a decision, right?
Yeah, a little over 4 years. I think it was like June of 2018. If I remember.
Not simple to beat Arlovsky by decision, man.
No, and that was a while. That was way before he even fought Dos Santos. Went on the 3-fight losing streak. So I don't know. The last time he did it was against Blagoy Ivanov, where he lost. Another close one, but
so.
Yeah. So I don't know. Recently, what has he fought? Didn't he fight Harry Hunsucker? He fought Stefan Struve. Those two are like gimme knockout punches.
Augusto Sakai.
Sakai.
Him out.
All right.
Who also is a bit overrated. And
now Derek Lewis. So he's on a 4.
Hey, didn't you see that Twitter post? Derek Lewis, he did it on purpose, bro. Nobody falls like that.
Oh, we're talking about like all the conspiracy theories that he felt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. When you saw you can see the tell is the ears wiggling. When you can see the ears wiggle in slow-mo, that's when you know it's a real knockout.
Nah, man.
If your cranium gets whiplashed enough where your ears, the cartilage stays the same, but the bones of your head move, that's when you know it's a real knockout shot. There's no way that was faked at all. So, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, do you have any other strategy for Tai to win this fight? Like, I think there's a few spots where Ciryl Gane finds himself out of position, but there's few and fleeting. You know me,
I normally do like to cover myself in spots like this. Like, I'll look for a prop where I think the underdog can pull it off and kind of cover my ass. But I don't know. It's just hard. Like, what do you think, Pat? Do you think it's more likely Tai gets an early knockout or a late knockout?
Early for sure. Yeah.
You think early, right? Because otherwise Ciryl Gane's going to be working him.
Yeah, I think under 1.5 would be
okay. So then let's check it out. Tai KO round number 1 is that's kind of crazy actually. Plus 1900 on FanDuel.
Right, because it's also when Ciryl is at his fastest, right? Or what you would assume is his fastest, most fluid.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably going to drop a 1/10 of a unit on Tai KO 1 and Tai KO 2. Tai KO 2.
My version of doing that is like doing the under 3.5. That's like my version of playing him to win by knockout.
See, the only reason I don't do it, that's a smart way. Only reason I don't do that way is because like I don't want to. You got to risk like what over a unit to win back a unit, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I think Tai probably doesn't win this. I don't think he wins it past
round
under
3. Under 3.5 was I got it at minus 145.
That's pretty good.
Wasn't that bad.
It is heavyweight, man. And
but yeah, you're looking at everything pre-UFC to his first 2 UFC fights for Tai Tuivasa, all round 1 knockouts. You're looking at Stefan Struve, round 1 knockout. Harry Hunsucker, of course, first minute. Greg Hardy, first minute. Augusto Sakai, 26 seconds into round 2. Derek Lewis, still under 1.5. He's at 1 minute 40 of round 2. So every single thing is under 1.5.
Yeah, man. I mean, once you like, I didn't even think of it this way. Once you brought up round, like it's going to go into round number 4 for 3.5 to hit. Like you're asking a lot of Tai over there.
Yeah,
you're asking a lot
for a heavyweight fight. The way as one-dimensional as this is, that is a long time for anything. So yeah. So we're heavily on Ciryl. You're very heavily on Ciryl Gane. I am too. I got props on him. I got the money line bet on him now that Ramos is no longer in there. I got the inside the distance at minus 165. Yeah, man. So we had a little bit of a disagreement there. Before we kick off our top 3 props of the card, I want to thank you guys for all sticking around with us for an hour and a half here. And obnoxious American MILF wonder what's our Lambo play. Mine would have to be parlaying. I might do this too. Parlaying Alessio Di Chirico round 3 KO, which is like plus 1,600. Parlay that with the Stephanie Egger round 1 sub. Whatever that gives you, it's gonna be something juicy.
Good.
I like that. You got one off the top?
Nah, now they have me.
We call these Lou bets around here. We call these in honor of Lou Betya.
Shout out to my guy.
Shouting out to him. He went through a medical thing recently, so hopefully he's recovering strong. And you can still catch him on Twitter. Go follow the MMA Engine. He's working very hard behind the scenes to help improve their website and their page. But we call these lube bets around here. So,
but I mean, I don't have a fun parlay like Pat just did for you guys, even though now he has me thinking. But I think my odds might still beat him. Jourdaine round 3 sub plus 5,000. Look,
that's such a crazy number on that for something he's done before. Like something that you've seen done before should never be plus 5,000. Right?
At the end of the day, I understand he's a striker, and more than likely he's gonna win by knockout. I bet that too. KO round 3, I bet that as well. But like we were talking about this, club and subs, they just appear, and like he's gonna take the neck if it's there. He did it against Venata, so plus 5,000.
Or he hits Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood goes for what's in his back pocket is the wrestling, and then he wraps up a neck. I
just love spots like that where you only have to bet 1/10 of a unit, and if you hit, you're literally taking home 5 units. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I know y'all ain't DraftKings people, but I stacked the main card on a few lineups. Yeah, I don't know anything about DraftKings at all, and I hear like guys like Monk over there on the MMA Engine talking about
Monk
it.
Is so good at this stuff, man.
And
Gordo.
I know, Gordo, and I know Brady, of course.
All those guys.
That was like his main love. I don't know anything about it, dude. Do you play that at all?
It's funny. I started like consuming MMA, like gambling media, whatever, like maybe 3 years back. So Brady was like
about the same for me, honestly, too.
I think Brady was like 19 or 20 when I started watching him. So it's so
funny.
Really?
He's that young
now. Yeah, he's like I think he's my age. I think he's 24. But when I started watching him, whenever that was, he was like just mostly doing DFS stuff, and then slowly he started doing stuff with Clint, whatever. But yeah, I mean, for DFS, I just pulled up. I think I have one lineup that I did, and I'm not confident at all, and I still have to look at it later. But I threw together. This is a GPP, not cash. I played Errens, Figlak, Imavov, Magomedov. Oh man, I hate this. Perez and Denis. I don't think Perez wins. I'm gonna have to change that. But that's one thing I came up with.
What's your top 3 props on this card in general? We'll wrap this up and get you guys out of here.
So I like the Whittaker decision plus 100. Man, I guess Abu decision, if I'm being responsible, and Denis round 3 KO for irresponsible.
I like that. Yeah, mine that I've played so far, Whittaker decision minus 125. I think that hits. I like Ciryl Gane to win inside the distance. I said minus 160 to minus 165. I like that one as well. And I like I do like fight goes to decision for Ziam and Mike Figlak. So those are the 3 that I like. The first 2 I have actually played. But I'll be putting out my best bets and props tomorrow. So check out that for everything that I've bet on this card. And Mike, why don't you wrap this up and let people know where to find you? One of the sharpest guys in the space, man. I'm glad your YouTube is growing. And let's grow it together, man. Everybody go subscribe to my guy, Mike, at Couch Warrior Podcast.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, Pat. This is one of my favorite people in the space. So if you're watching this and not following him, get it together. But Couch Warrior Pod on Twitter. I post my bets as soon as I make them. I'm up at 3 a.m. sometimes posting picks, so make sure you're following me. Couch Warrior Podcast on YouTube. I do videos every Wednesday, full card breakdown. I did one before the show with John Kelly. Really dope. Check it out. One last puff. I think we got to go, but next time. But and then every Friday, my Dana White Contender Series show. Make sure to check that out. I'm on top of that stuff. But yeah, thank you for having me on again, Pat. You're the man.
Of course, guys. I'm glad you guys made it to the live stream. It was great. I missed you guys on a week off. It's hard not to talk about UFC on stream for a whole week. So I know we got a few breaks coming up, but at least we got this week and the pay-per-view next week. I'll be having on everybody's favorite Uncle Weezy next week to break down, Kamaya versus Diaz. So stay tuned for that. I'll have my best bets and props out tomorrow. But hey, good luck on all your betting action, you guys, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Have a great night. Cheers.